What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's another beautiful day here at Sonic Speed Shop. Today we got another project, or just some small maintenance going on in the shop for today. Two things we're working on: the BMW, doing some, well, first we got an oil change, we got a transmission fluid change, and also spark plugs. So pretty much the main like maintenance things that goes on. This was the BMW that we were working on, a big turbo, or upgraded turbo, and then also a built transmission too. So he's just coming in after he's done his braking miles. Now we're going to change all the fluids so he can start ripping on this thing, and it's going to be a ripper for sure. Also for today, we got the F-150. We're still wiring that up. I finished a lot of the engine bay wiring yesterday, or honestly Saturday. Today's Monday, so I finished it up, a lot of the wiring, cleaned it up really good. I'll show you guys that in a bit. But first I wanted to get started on the BMW. I got pretty much all the parts and tools and stuff laid out on the table, my little cart right here. I already got the spark plugs. He's got new spark plugs, new oil filter, fresh oil, rocking with the red line right here, the 540. And then also for the trans fluid, which is down here too as well, it's the AMS oil. So best of the best for this thing. Here it is right here. This has got the bigger BorgWarner turbo, upgraded fuel system. Pretty much it's making some power for sure. And I don't know if you guys seen it on the side, but she's got some meats for sure. She's got the Weld RTSs on there, and they look clean. They got a little bit of a poke, but hey, it's a lot cleaner than I've seen a BMW set up before. And she definitely hooks, so that's a good thing about that as well. She definitely hooks for sure. So once we get all the fluids changed and everything back up, then it can go ahead and rip it. For these cars, the transmission fluid's a lot different, considering a lot of the other transmissions that we've done. It's not the old, you know, just dump the fluid and then fill it back up to the level and she's ready to roll. This one's a little bit more intricate. There's a process you have to do for these transmissions, and surprisingly, this is the ZF transmission. It's a really common transmission. I've been looking them up and doing my research on them because eventually I want to put one in the Miata. This one is the 8-speed, I believe. They have a 10-speed, and that's the one I've been looking into, or 10 or 9-speed, one of the two. But I've been looking into that. Those transmissions come in the BMWs. They're also found in the Hellcats too. So they're made for a lot of power, and then also it's got the paddle shifters. That's what I really want. I'm not a real big manual car kind of guy, especially when you got a lot of power, and the Miata will have a lot of power. So none of this manual stuff. You don't want to be banging gears while you're freaking on the edge of your seat, freaking going 100 and something plus mile an hour. So that was the main aspect of the Miata right there. But less about that, because that's not what we're doing today. We're working on the BMW and the F-150 continuing, and then we'll also get started on the C10 as well too as well. That needs some brake lines. Let me see if I can pull it up. That's going to need some brake lines. I got most of the brake lines here. Let's check it out. Most of the brake, pretty much all the brake parts are here. I keep running into little, you know, part issues where they keep sending me the wrong stuff. But for the most part, everything's here. So we got the hard line right there. This is the stainless line, and then also we've got the proportioning valve too, the Wilwood brakes, Wilwood proportioning valve, Wilwood master cylinder. Keep it all kind of Wilwood, keep it all really clean and nice. GT500 still right there. We're going to be working on this week, and then also, like I said, the F-152 as well. So here it is. She's still all wrapped up. I got the intake carb filter or whatever, got that put on there. But if you guys can see right there, most of the wiring harness is put together, all sleeved up and all tucked. I just got to finish up with this little section right there, cover all that wiring up right there. But that's for the majority of how it's going to look, minus the battery. I took it off because the starter solenoid, I've been having issues with that. It's been kind of burning out, and it's weird because the truck would, you know, you start it up, it will run okay, and then you go to turn it off and the truck will want to hit the starter again. What I'm thinking is something to do with the ground. So I went ahead and made a dedicated ground to the starter solenoid, but I wanted to replace that starter solenoid that I initially tried, just in case that one is fried. I don't want to start with another one. So the new starter solenoid will be on its way. I got an account with O'Reilly's. They should be dropping that off any moment now. So we're just waiting on that to try it again to see if that worked out okay. That's about it for today. And then also I got another project that we're going to get started on working on. It's this Galaxy 500 right here. I've been working on this for a little bit. This is a funny project because originally this thing came in to me as it needed fuel. It needed a fuel system done, you know, and I was thinking, okay, well, yeah, I can knock that out in about a week or so like that. That's no problem. The customer drops it off and I'm not even thinking about it because I'm working on other cars right now. This car needs a whole lot more than a fuel system, that's for sure. He dropped it off on a trailer, so that should have been like my first red flag, but I definitely didn't think about it. Literally wasn't even paying attention to it. I actually got to it like the 2 days later of him dropping it off, and I was like, oh wow. So the carburetor wasn't even connected. It was rusted out completely. No fuel system, no battery, no electronics, no anything pretty much, and it was pretty much completely gutted. So needs a lot more work. It turned in from him telling me that, oh, it needs a fuel system, to, oh, it needs a whole new motor, because we tested the motor. The motor actually, I got it to fire, but it had no oil pressure at all. So we're in the process of right now of getting another motor. Long story short, we found a motor, we found a whole drivetrain that we're going to be using, and hopefully we'll get that going pretty soon, and then get some more video on that too as well. But like I said, I got a lot more projects on the inside of the shop that I need to get to, and I'll make sure I film that and post that up for you guys too as well. So without further ado, without any more talking, let's get straight to it. Let's get started on this BMW. Let's get it. Alright, so we got the spark plugs changed out and also the oil cartridge filter. Now it's going to have to lift up the car and get underneath there to drain the oil, replace the oil with the new Redline oil, and then also get started on the transmission, and that'll complete the BMW for the fluid change, and then we'll get started on the next project. Looks good. Yeah, they actually look really good. I honestly would keep these if I were him, but he bought some new ones and got them in the car. We got them gapped down to 0.021, I believe, and then also sealed it up. Got some dielectric grease and all the good stuff. So now that the new spark plugs are in the car and also the new oil filter cartridge, we're going to lift the car up and then get underneath there so we can drain the oil and then also the trans fluid too as well, and get started on that. So let's get to it. What's up, everyone? We're back again. It's actually the next day. It'll just probably be on the same video, but we're running with the BMW, filling up the transmission fluid, and we ran into a little bit of an issue. The transmission kept getting hot, and throughout the test, you have to make sure it's within a specific range. It's got to be, I think, within like 30 degrees to 50 degrees Celsius, and as soon as you start this thing, it's like it's already 30 degrees Celsius, so you pretty much got a matter of minutes before you can actually go through all the gears and make sure the transmission is fully filled up before you can even check the fluid level. So we were running to that last night. I kind of got it all filled up, and I just wanted to check it over today, this morning, when the transmission was cooled down. We can run the test one more time just to make sure, and I just ran it. Everything's perfect with it. The transmission's at the right level with the specs that I was given. So that's pretty much done with the BMW. We're going to get it, already actually got it off the jack sands. I got pretty much everything done. I put another half of a quart of oil inside of it too as well, so we got 1/2 quart left. I think I filled it up with about 6.5 quarts right now. I know the specs call for about 6.9, but 6.5 is pretty good. And then I'll just run an oil test. These cars are really weird, man. These new cars, you don't have a dipstick for the engine or the transmission, so you got to do everything with the computer, and to do that you got to drive the car. So that's the plan. Drive the car around for about 30 minutes or so, then check the transmission level, or check the transmission fluids, the levels, the engine oil levels, and everything else like that too as well, and then tell the customer to come pick it up, because this thing will be done. This thing will be done for sure. Other than that, really not too much else going on with the car. Like I said, it is a built transmission, a built 8 HP, so it should be good for about 700 horsepower, something like that. I forget the specs on it, but it's done by Pure, so they're really good with the ZF transmissions. I was actually looking into that transmission for the Miata, the 9-speed or the 10-speed, whichever one that is. They're really stout transmissions, and like I said, they're in a lot of high horsepower stock factory cars, so I know it should handle the power, especially being how light the Miata is going to be too as well. And then also the BMW has it, so it's pretty good. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for this car. Also yesterday, Simba actually, he dropped the engine, dropped the subframe, dropped the transmission, dropped everything out of the Mustang right here. It looks good. A lot of transmission fluid, it kind of leaked overnight, so I'm gonna get that cleaned up. But he did a pretty good job for his first engine drop. You know, he's still learning, so you know, it's a pretty good accomplishment. The cylinder head was already removed when we were testing the car, or testing the motor. Check this out. I want to show you guys how bad this motor got. Let's see. So I don't know if you can see in there, but right there at the little lip of the piston, that's gone. Yeah, so the ring, the dome right there, ring lands, they broke. So he was having really bad misfire. Obviously that's why. Our plan with this car is to just do a stock rebuild. I wanted him to, I was suggesting for him, since we're already down, we're gonna have to tear apart this whole motor. Might as well build it to handle at least another like 600, 700 horsepower for these cars. And that's only with like rods and pistons and stuff like that for these motors. That's really all you need, because that's the main thing that goes, as you can see. The next thing will be the rods, I mean, if he really wants to push it. But I mean, a simple Cobra used rods and pistons are like $600 or something like that, nothing too crazy. But he actually opted to just do a factory rebuild. So that's the plan. We're going to do the factory rebuild, get this motor torn apart, get the factory parts put back in there, get it all set up, turn on, send it on its way. But I got my buddy Simba working on this car right now. This is kind of his test mule right here. I've done 2 valves more. I've done rebuilds on these engines more than I can count, honestly. So this is going to be like, I can do this in my sleep. But I want him to check it out. I want him to try it out. That way he can learn, because he's planning on being here at the shop for a while. So what's the best way to learn is to freaking get out there and get started on the motor and stuff like that. So he's learning really well. Hopefully he can rock and roll with us for a while, because he's a really good guy. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as everything that's going on right now. The F-150 actually did get the starter solenoid in the truck that thing worked out perfectly. So like I was talking about, I think it was the grounding issue. So I ran a ground directly from the ground lug that I've got on the frame directly to the starter solenoids, the base of the starter solenoid where it's supposed to get ground. And that thing fired up. I turned it off. It did not kick the starter on anymore after it was off. So I did it once. I want to test again just to make sure, but I just did it once just to make sure, and it worked perfectly fine. So thankfully that's good to go. So once I get the BMW out, I'm going to get started more on the F-150, get a little parts list so we can start ordering the rest of the parts to get this truck out, because hopefully within the next week to 2 weeks, I want this truck damn near done. I want it damn near freaking ready to drive out of here for real. So that's the plan. I'm going hard on that. The C10, ordered some more brake parts right there, so I'm going to start with the brake lines. I got to plumb the lines. They're all hard lines, so I got to pretty much plumb everything, and then start ordering parts for the fuel lines too as well, because he wants hard lines for the fuel lines too. So that's about it. I got another customer coming in today. Subaru, should be like a turbo or something like that, turbo replacement or something. But small job, nothing too crazy. After this one leaves, the next one comes in. So let's get to it. Let's stop talking about it. Let's roll. Okay, so got the car tilted right now. We're gonna try this one more time. Customer had just told me, he spoke with Pure about the amount of fluid that's in the transmission. It's set up for the specs, but they were like, hey, just go ahead and tilt it a little bit more, try to get as much as possible in there. So that's why the car's tilted right now. I'm gonna put a little bit more fluid in there, try to get as much as possible in there, but I got it tilted on the passenger side, and that's where the fill plug is, on this side right here. She is all the way lifted, as high as my jack can possibly go. Little Harbor Freight jack right there, but let's see if you can see it from under here. The fill plug is right here, right there. So we're gonna fill this up as much as possible, but we got to get the car started too as well. So I just kind of want to show you guys where it's at, because I don't think I filmed this part, but it's where it's at. I'm gonna fill it up a little bit more until it starts draining out a little bit, and then go for that test drive. So let's get to it. All right, so we got the BMW off the jack stands and got it outside. I'm gonna let it get up to operating temperature and then go for a test drive, make sure there's no leaks or anything with the oil for the engine or the fluid for the transmission. Everything checks out. It'll be done. We'll get it all cleaned up and then have them pick it up. So we'll let this thing get warmed up, like I said, and get on the road. All right, so we got the car all warmed up. We got the code scanner, the reader, checking the temps. Engine temps at 111 Celsius. What is it? Transmission temps at 70 degrees Celsius. That's about it. That's really all we need. This test, we'll just drive it around for a little while, and then we're going to be paying attention to the oil level. Like I said, this car does not have a dipstick, so you can't really test it a traditional way. So we got to let it drive and let the computer verify its fluid level and tell us when to pour it in, and it's a lot. But anyways, we'll get to driving and get the test drive done. So let's get to it. Got a little bit of a vibration. It sounds like it might be like the exhaust. remember when I was underneath the car, the exhaust was rubbing against, it's like a connecting bracket underneath the car. So that's more than likely the sound of the vibration, but we'll keep driving. Yeah. All right, so camera drop, sorry about that. Had it on my little gimbal right there, and for some reason I thought it would be level enough, but this transmission shifts pretty firmly, and as it shifted, my little mount went with it. So just holding it up now. Transmission temp still good. Oil temperature at 111 still. I wonder what the operating temperature for the transmission is, but it's holding. It's definitely holding around 70, 74. So that might be the operating temperature right there. Where's that? There, right there. It's pretty warm today. It's 85. Kind of want to put the AC on because I'm burning up in here. And then I'll also roll up the windows too. Yeah, we'll get the car jacked up and I'll see if I can wiggle the exhaust, because that is definitely that noise. So far so good. I don't see a pile of oil behind us, so that's a start. Yeah, I mean, like I said, this transmission's been built by Pure. He did the break-in miles. I think he actually did like an extra 100 miles past whatever they were suggesting, and we end up changing the fluids, changed the transmission fluid, changed the oil, changed the spark plugs. Pretty much everything with this car. Pretty much everything. So it's going good so far. It's already been, I think it's, what is this? It feels like it's about 6th gear. This car has like 8 gears, I believe. 8 speed. So it feels like we're might even like 5th gear or something like that. But yeah, so far so good. Nothing too crazy. Feels like a regular car. The transmission definitely shifts pretty good. I mean, it's really crisp as far as the shifts go. This is the 8 HP, I think the 70. Really quick, really crisp shifting for sure. And the downshifts, let's see, really smooth. I like this transmission a lot, man. I really do. I was, for the Miata, I was originally planning on doing, I think my first idea of it was like the traditional T56, you know, manual. You know, I mean, that's kind of the go-to. But the more and more I thought about it, I was like, man, this thing's gonna have a lot of power, and I also want to take it to like an actual racetrack. Not a drag strip, but an actual racetrack for this car. So I kind of wanted something with paddle shifters. That idea would be wild. I'm thinking of like the Porsche, the GT3 or the GT3 RS, something like that, where it's just bananas around the track. And something like that was like, oh man, that's cool. But when you have paddle shifters, you want something that's really crisp. You want something that's really fast, and a new transmission to where you can kind of like keep up with the times. And you just want something crisp and it feels like it's connected, you know. So I thought of this and I started doing a little bit of research, and lo and behold, there's actually, I'd say about a handful of guys that have done it. There's one guy that I know of so far that's completed the whole swap, and it was actually this transmission that's in here is the HP 70. These transmissions, they're really good. They're just not they're not capable, or they're not rated for that much horsepower in the stock form. So I kind HP90 that you see in like the Dodge Hellcats and Demons and stuff like that. I mean, that's kind of the transmission that you want. It's still the housing, everything still should be the same. It's essentially the same transmission, just the bell housing is different, obviously, for a Dodge from a BMW. But yeah, that's the one that I'm leaning forward to. There's the guy that has done it before. He's actually pulled that HP out of a Jaguar. That's one of the swaps that he was telling me about. It was a Jaguar turbo diesel or something like that, and it comes with the whole bracket, a whole freaking bolt-on bracket kit for it, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. But I kind of was looking for the HP90. That way I don't have to really build it. It's already stock, already ready to go, and just put it in there. But the main thing is, being that it is still fairly a new transmission for the States, there's not that much ECU of options as far as transmission, controlling the transmission for the most part. So still looking into that. I know a couple of forums and a couple of spots that have it, but there's none in the US that actually have a full kit that I'm accustomed to, at least. So I'm going to be doing some more research on that. But the way this thing is shifting right now, and I'm just like basic driving mode, it's perfect. It's really good. I don't have a complaint at all in the world for this thing, and it's really crisp. So I can only imagine what it is like on a track. I'm not really going to get on it. That's not what this is for. This is kind of for just, you know, a little bit of miles on her, make sure she goes through the gears, make sure she sounds good, she performs the way it needs to, and then I'll let the customer get on it and do whatever he wants to do, because essentially this thing is ready. The break-in's done, it's ready to rip for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn around now, and since we're on this little test drive, I like to kill two birds with one stone. I'm out here, let me pick up some lunch too. But yeah, like I said, so far so good. No real, you know, issues at all as far as the transmission goes. That little vibration that I'm hearing as I'm, you know, accelerating, that right there, that's more than likely the exhaust rubbing on that bracket that I was talking about, which I'll get fixed once we get back to the shop. I'll try to get it fixed, we'll see. And that'll be that, man. That'll be that for sure. I still got it in the basic driving mode, no sport mode, no nothing, you know, just cruising around, enjoying the letting the transmission do all the work. Letting the transmission do all the work for sure. I might go through the gears on this way through here. I'll put it in manual mode and go through the gears. Actually, let me give that a try since we're at a stop. So we'll get it over in the sport mode. Go to the first gear. Go second. Go third. Keeping her at about $3 grand. Right here. And that's pretty good. We got to 5th gear. This thing shifts like money. Oh my gosh. That's 3rd. We got 4th. So we got the car out right now. I don't know if I was recording or not, but we're going to redo it just to make sure. Got the car out right now, just finishing up the test drive. I am in manual mode right now and going through all the gears. So we're in 3rd right now. We'll get to 4th, and then we'll get to 5th and the rest of the gears whenever we have an opportunity to. Trying to keep it around 3,000 RPM, and then checking the temperatures that is reading on my display right here. We got the Celsius. It's about 95 degrees Celsius for the transmission temp, and then 111 for the coolant temp. It's still rising, just barely though. It's slowly rising for sure. Like I said, when we start this thing up, it stays, or it starts up at like, I would say like 35 degrees Celsius, and then kind of starts climbing up. So I'm assuming just having it in the drive modes, it kind of gets warmed up that way. Man, this thing sounds really good. Sounds really good for sure. You can kind of hear the turbo whistle whistle sounds really good. And you're not really getting on it. I'm giving it probably like 20% throttle. Nothing at all, just kind of keeping up the flow of the traffic, and this thing is whistling, boy, whistling. But so far so good. I haven't really had any issues. Everything's been shifting really good. These transmissions, the HP ZFs or ZF 8HPs, they're really good transmissions as far as an auto goes. I love auto cars. I'm not really a big manual guy. You know, they're cool when the car doesn't have that much horsepower, or, you know, it's a track car or something like that, but still, at the end of the day, it doesn't have that much horsepower. Once you start getting into like the 600 and above, having a stick shift car, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. I've been in one, and it's too much. It's a hassle to try to keep everything going, try to keep the car straight, and it's just too much. So these automatic cars, I take them 100 times out of 100, you know. And this is actually the plan. This is the transmission that we're going to be using in the Miata. And I originally wanted a manual transmission. You know, a T56 is usually the go-tos for the LS Miatas, but just going over it, I kind of just told myself, it's like, hey man, what's the end goal with this car? And definitely to be on the track, be very competitive. I haven't really done that much track racing. I've done a lot of drag racing, but nothing on the track. So I kind of want to do a nice little track car, a nice little track day car, you know. And a Miata is a great candidate. LS is a great engine, and a automatic transmission is just the icing on the cake for sure. And I found that one of these transmissions, the ZF transmissions, can fit. Started doing my research on them, and knowing that they fit, and feeling how they shift, feeling how, you know, they're just really responsive, they're on it, especially going through the gears with the paddle shifters. It's a no-brainer. It really is. I mean, they're the same transmissions that are in the Hellcats and these BMWs too, so they hold power for sure. I think the Hellcat has the HP90. That's the one I'm going to be looking for to see if I can make that fit in the Miata, because the 70, it's only rated for about, you know, like 600, I think, or something like that. Nothing too crazy. I plan on having the Miata around that horsepower range, but just in case, I want to kind of beef it up a little bit more, you know, or if I can find an HP90 that fits, I'm definitely going to go for it for sure. Because a build like this, I mean, just this build right here for this transmission was around like ridiculous amount. It's like 10 grand or something like that, which is like, what the hell. But if I can find a transmission that's HP90 that's good for the rating, you know, we'll definitely rock with that for sure. And then also the Miata's so light, so it's like, you know, you're really rating transmissions on torque, and torque is really, you know, what strains torque is weight. So if you have something light, you know, the torque rating might be low, but if it's in a light enough car, you know, you can probably get by for sure. So that's kind of my idea, my mindset behind it, and I'm gonna rock with it until something breaks or blows up. So that's the plan with the Miata for sure. Whenever I get some time and obviously some funds for that thing, we will definitely get started on that Miata. But so right now, just testing this BMW, making sure everything's good, and she is rocking and rolling. She is holding steady at 95 degrees Celsius and for the transmission fluid, and then 111 for the engine oil fluid temperatures. So we're right around the corner from the shop. We're just gonna head back there. I kind of want to get it into those other gears and just make sure that, you know, 5th and 6th are treated as well. So I'll probably find a nice little straight where I can get up to that speed. I think I need to go like 100 or something like that, you know, just to get into that overdrive and make sure that those are okay. But so far, this thing has been going really good. Not one, you know, hiccup, not one question mark as far as this test drive goes. So I believe she's good to go. I believe she's good to go for sure. But, you know, you want to make sure every gear's done. So we'll do that too as well. get into that. We're gonna try on this straightaway that I know is right over here. Man, this thing really puts you back in your seat for sure. And like I said, I'm only giving it like 20% throttle, so I can tell when this boost kicks on, this thing will be an animal. Back to first. Transmission temp is at 98 degrees Celsius, and I was able to get it up to 7th gear. I think that's where I'm going to stay, honestly. I mean, 8th gear is overdrive. He's not going to be ripping it in 8th gear, so we'll have him hop on the freeway and see if he can get up to that 8th gear, and then go from there. Or I might do it after I finish up with the work for today if he doesn't come by today to pick the car up. But like I said, we're gonna knock this over into regular driving mode to let this baby cool down and take it to the shop. Like I said, overall this thing has been really successful test drive. No issues whatsoever. The small vibration, it's coming from this little bracket where the exhaust hangs over, and I should be able to get that thing fixed. It was just resting there, so it should be a fairly simple fix. Just kind of pick it up and make sure it doesn't vibrate on that thing. But overall, you know, nothing crazy at all. Does its job, did its job for sure. And I'm looking right now, the transmission, the temp's going back down, so definitely when you're in the manual mode, I got to keep note of that when I have mine. When you're in the manual mode, the transmission's definitely gonna start increasing the temperature. But just in regular drive, looks like the temperature's going back down. We were at 98, now it dropped down to 97, 96 now. So just regular cruising. I'm gonna assume it's probably like around 95, 90 for like degrees Celsius for like a normal drive. But yeah, definitely pretty good. And I wasn't even ripping on it too as well, so yeah, so it should be around like a 95 degrees. That's like a normal operating range, you know. But back to the shop we go. Let's get this thing washed up and let them know it's ready for pickup. Also eat my food, because your boy hungry as hell. It's funny too, because I get people looking and I keep forgetting, like, oh yeah, this car has some tires on the back. It's got some pretty wide tires on the back, and people are like, oh, what the heck is this? You know, he's got those meats on there, and well, the meats are there for a reason, my boy. But yeah, we'll see if we can get a little test drive, because he's got one of those new electric trucks, the Revenant or something like that. I think that's what it's called. I definitely want to test drive that thing for sure, because I've been in a Tesla and that thing is stupid quick. I mean, it's electric, so it's going to be quick, but in a truck, good God. So hopefully he brings that by. I told him to bring it by so we can give that thing a test drive, and I told him to make sure that thing's got full charge, because we're giving her all the juice. And then we'll see if he brings it by for sure. Hopefully he does. But yeah, that's I mean, that'd be fun for sure. Next car after we get to the shop, hopefully. All right, guys, so we got the BMW all cleaned up. She's ready to go. That's gonna wrap it up for this car until he wants to go faster, I guess, and then we'll check it out. We'll probably do a little ride along, see if he can get on it, see if we can feel some power from this car. But that's pretty much all my job done is for today, for this car at least. Next thing we got going on is we're gonna put the bed on the F-150. We're gonna go grab the forklift, or I'm gonna grab the forklift and put the bed on the F-150. Get that thing on, clear some space, because we got a Galaxy that's right behind me, right there, that we gotta go in that spot right there. We gotta put it in that spot. So I got Simba, he's here now. He's clearing up a spot somewhere. There he goes. He's clearing it up. We're gonna get it right over here, and this will be on the truck. So I'm headed over there right now to go pick up the forklift, and we'll get started on that.